So in this book, Flew points out, though, that the scientists of today, this guy, Paul Davies, and I picked up his book, too. It's called The Mind of God. And he's a British physicist and cosmologist, guy, you know, into the stars and stuff like that. And he's, according to Flew, maybe arguably the most influential physicist talking about science and God around at the moment. Now, we've shown him speaking on film in the film Privileged Planet. And if you haven't watched our program at all, we show film clips, and we're about to show a film clip. We pretty much always show film clips, unless we get a slew of phone calls and never get to the films. And that's rare. We usually show 1 or 2 film clips. And we've shown him before talking about things, and he's coming along to see that he's already basically said there is an intelligence behind the universe. There has to be. There absolutely has to be, based on the mathematics. As Einstein said, and all these physicists agree, and many are coming to this viewpoint, and this scares the evolutionists. They got to get intelligent design out of the concept of reality in school system, because they're worried. The humanists they've had an agenda for 80 years, that's 8 with a 0 plus, John Dewey and others, to get the rotting corpse of Christianity totally out of the mind of men through the public school system. We'll see some quotes on that in a minute. And they've been working real hard at that, making sure that their viewpoint reigns supreme in academia. And the movie Expelled is about that. Naturally, people who don't like the concept of God. And unfortunately, again, Jesus said, few there are that seek God with all their heart. And most don't want God because they don't want anybody to tell them, no, you can't do this. And if you keep doing this, you're going to go to a place that you're not going to like for eternity. I was like that. I hated that idea. I wanted to prove God wrong, prove that it wasn't true, just like Flew did for most of his life, and
yeah, and just
so
like,
many others.
Just like we didn't want to, as we became older, in our teenage years, submit to our parents.
It's the same thing, yeah.
We definitely don't want to submit to God. We want to be our own God.
Exactly.
And be in control of our own life, and not be accountable for any decisions that we make. And so we rebel either against our parents or against this almighty creator. And
yeah, we're rebels. Scripture says clearly we are rebels. We've inherited a tendency to sin from our original forefathers, Adam and Eve. And that inheritance, the DNA, RNA, we've talked about that. Well, you know, if you're curious, science has proven that identical twins brought up in different countries, they do a lot of the same things. Our actions are heavily based on the DNA. So our sin nature, we've inherited that, just like other actions, which has been proven. Fascinating stuff. So anyhow, before we show this film clip, which we're going to show in a minute or two, I just wanted to mention that he points out, Anthony Flew, that so many of these physicists, just as others that we've shown in the past, like this famous mathematician Berlinski, he's in the movie Expelled, and he's taught at many colleges and wrote a number of textbooks, and he's taught in biology as well as mathematics. And he says he knows lots of physicists who just laugh at the notion of Darwinian theory being even a strong theory. It's not that. It's just basically a heavy conjecture, you know, that's wrong in so many ways. He says, but so many physicists, because they see the laws of physics, like where did these laws, Einstein talked about them, all these physicists have been talking about them. Flew mentions it. No scientist, no physicist denies that there are these laws that undergird the universe, laws that can be simply put into mathematical formulas on just a couple of sheets of paper. Simple, beautiful formulas that only these great mathematicians understand, but they say it's there. It's the mind of God. That's why this physicist, Paul Davies, called his book The Mind of God. Another book I picked up this week that I wanted to read, Francis Collins' The Language of God. He was head of the Human Genome Project, mapping the human genome, the language of God, the DNA, stuff we've been talking about. But the laws of the universe, now think about this, many scientists, physicists are coming to see this, and others as well, as they understand that there's no way this could have happened. You don't get laws by chance. You don't get laws that make reality and force reality into constriction. unless there's a mind behind the laws. I mean, you just, the equations, the mathematical equations don't come about by chance in the cosmos, just by chance. It's all mathematically precise, and these greatest scientists agree with Newton, Faraday, Boyle that, yeah, and they were all great mathematicians. They said there's no way that that math could have come about by chance. And so we're seeing it today, and yet they want to get this concept of intelligent design out of the school systems as fast as they can, because more people are coming to realize this as they read books like this and start to think about it. Roberta will be right with you. And so these laws that undergird the universe, now, these laws they're coming to see result in us. So the laws that set the universe into motion with gases, they think becoming planets, becoming this. Those are those scientists who are not really Christians who don't understand, no, God didn't start with gases alone. He talks about it in the first chapter of Genesis. In the beginning, he made the heavens and the earth, and he made time, he made space. And he made it all. He made it all at once. And they're having a hard time seeing that aspect of it, many of them. Others have accepted it and argue for it. And in fact, very powerfully, there's one physicist who was able to predict Uranus's a magnetic pull in the planet. He predicted it based on a young Earth, whereas all the other old Earth scientists, his name is Russell Humphreys, PhD in astrophysics. Anyhow, he in physics, and he predicted the magnetic pull, whereas everyone was off by thousands of times the degree of his estimation based on a young Earth. And many of these things are coming into reality, that, and that's good science when you can predict things based on your theory. So in any case, many of these people are coming to realize, these physicists, that yes, we have resulted, it started out with a mind, DNA, the fine-tuning of the cosmos, the law of gravity, the laws of the electronic spectrum, that if we're off slightly, 1/trillionth of a trillionth, we would all die if it was slight, and it could have been on a scale of a trillion anywhere, that it fell into a trillionth of a trillionth. That's a small number. 1 trillion is a small number, but a trillionth of a trillionth? That if it was outside that parameter, the gamma rays, X-rays, ultraviolet rays would have killed us. That it's that spectrum of electron radiation spectrum, that it was within that parameter. The law of gravity, the gravity's in such a tight, that all these things fit together, and there's equations for them all, that it only could, and it results in intelligence. Now, how does non-intelligence result? Matter, evolution says that you started with a Big Bang, which led to matter, which led to us. Life came about through an organic soup of chemicals somewhere along the line. Science has disproven that, but yet they have to hold on to it. It goes against the laws of science, the law of biogenesis, that life has to come from life, not from non-life, but they cling to it, even though it goes against a law of science. They'll take this theory of evolution, that it all started, even though it goes against laws of science, lots of laws now, and yet cling to it because they don't want to believe there's a God, because it means I have to listen to him when I want to do my thing, and my friends will think I'm an idiot anyhow if I become one of these weirdo Christian freaks.